One day at the dry cleaning shop where I work, a suit and a dress shirt were brought in. These were unmistakably my husband's clothes. He was supposed to be on a business trip. But why were his clothes here? The woman who brought them in handed over a credit card. I was shocked when I saw the name on it. It was my own name. What was going on? I vowed to unravel this mystery and plotted a plan for revenge against my husband. My name is Barbara. I'm a 30-year-old part-time housewife. I live with my husband, Robert. He's a 35-year-old office worker. We met through a marriage agency a year ago and got married. Robert is an executive at his company with a high income, tall, and well-educated. On the other hand, I quit my job due to difficulties with workplace relationships and lived at my parents' house, doing part-time jobs. My worried parents suggested registering with the marriage agency. I never thought anyone would propose to me. But then Robert came along.
Robert, what made you fall for someone like me?
I asked one evening, my voice laced with a blend of curiosity and a touch of self-doubt. Robert, sitting across from her, paused thoughtfully before responding.
I suppose it's your homely nature. Nowadays, many women seem to focus only on their work or hobbies, but you, Barbara, you listen to me. You're there for me.
His voice carried a note of appreciation, but also an unintended hint of condescendence. My parents had been delighted about her marriage to Robert. I was happy to reassure my parents. My married life, if described kindly, was peaceful. If not, it was monotonous. Each morning began with my waking up early to prepare breakfast for Robert, ensuring he left for work well-fed and cared for. After seeing him off, my day was filled with household chores, laundry, cleaning, keeping our home pristine. The cleanliness was easy to maintain, as there was no clutter. Everything unnecessary was kept away. In the bedroom closet, my personal belongings were neatly arranged: clothes, bags, accessories, all chosen and bought by Robert. He had once told me,
"As my wife, I want you to dress appropriately. Leave your old things. I'll provide everything you need."
This was his way of caring, but it left little room for my own choices. I often found myself reflecting on this life, wondering if peace and stability were enough, or if there was more to life that I was missing out on. Robert, often working late, regularly dined out, leaving me alone for most evenings. His weekends, too, were frequently occupied with business trips. During one of their rare moments together, he apologized.
"I'm sorry for being so busy with work and neglecting you."
I, understanding yet longing for more connection, replied,
"No, it's okay. Your job is demanding."
Robert, in his typically self-assured manner, added,
"Well, you see, I'm on an elite path at the company. It might be hard for you to understand being unemployed and all."
I, trying to be supportive, responded.
"An elite path? That's quite impressive."
Robert continued,
Yes. By the way, there's a party next Saturday hosted by my company's associates. We're attending together. I've already made an appointment for you at the salon. Go there at this time."
I was surprised, but agreed. Yeah, I understand. Thank you. Robert, always in control, instructed.
"They know the hairstyle and color I've chosen for you. Make sure it's done exactly as I've said."
In this way, I lived a life of comfort, guided by Robert's decisions. However, an incident soon occurred that made me question this routine. That morning, after my usual routine of sending Robert off, me busied myself with housework. Today was the day I was to go to the salon, as directed by Robert, for the party in the evening. I had to be ready on time, dressed in the formal dress he had chosen for her. Despite it being a rare outing, I couldn't shake off a feeling of heaviness, a sense of being overwhelmed by the life I was leading. The chores were easy, and Robert provided everything. But it wasn't what I truly wanted. As I was thinking about it and heading out, I accidentally hit my elbow on a coffee cup that I had left on the table. The coffee spilled, leaving a dark stain on the hem of my dress, the one Robert had chosen for me to wear to the party. Oh no. What should I do? I can't wear this now. I exclaimed in a moment of panic, hastily changing into another dress. Having managed to get ready in time for my hair salon appointment, I, now dressed in the alternate formal one, decided to look for a nearby dry cleaner while en route to the party venue in a taxi. The stained formal dress was surely expensive and needed immediate attention. As I scanned the city streets with urgency, I spotted a small dry cleaning shop.
Please stop here.
I requested the taxi driver. I rushed into the shop, where an older woman at the counter was taken aback by my sudden entrance. "Could you please remove this coffee stain?" I asked with my voice laced with anxiety.
"Oh dear, don't worry. It's just coffee. We can handle it."
The woman reassured me with a calming presence. "Are you sure? It was so careless of me."
"Everyone has those moments. Let me take care of this for you,"
the woman said, offering a warm smile as she handed me a receipt. Feeling a wave of relief, I realized how dense I had been, gripping the coffee-stained gown. The warmth and kindness in the shopkeeper's smile were a stark contrast to the life I was living. It had been months since I had been greeted with such genuine warmth. This simple act of kindness made me reflect on the life I had been leading, one of comfort but lacking in personal connections and warmth.
Then, please take care of it.
I said with a hesitant smile, feeling a mix of relief and uncertainty. The dry cleaner's mother, Margaret, a woman of wisdom and warmth, returned my smile with a gentle nod.
"Of course, my dear. And let me tell you, the dress you're wearing right now suits you far better than the one you brought in."
Her words, simple yet sincere, sparked a genuine smile on my face, the kind that had become a rarity in my life, filled with forced cheerfulness. Comforted by her kindness, I stepped into a taxi, blissfully unaware of the shocking turn of events that awaited me at the party venue where I was to meet my husband, Robert. Arriving at the hotel's main entrance, I swiftly made my way to the lounge where Robert and I had agreed to meet. When I spotted him from afar, my heart was thumping with anxiety and nervousness. Approaching him with a cautious step, I called out, "Robert, I'm sorry for making you wait." His reaction was much jarring. He turned, his face contorting with surprise and anger.
What? What are you wearing?
He bellowed, his voice echoing through the lounge, drawing curious glances from the bystanders. In a state of utter shock, I found myself frozen, unable to utter a word. Robert glared at me with a terrifying expression and yelled even louder.
Are you kidding me? Who told you to wear such a ridiculous outfit? Don't you dare do such foolish things.
His harsh scolding drew the attention of everyone around us, causing a stir in the elegant hotel lobby. Hotel staff approached, curious and concerned about the commotion. Robert clicked his tongue in annoyance, grabbed my arm, and began to pull me forcibly away from the lounge. In a desperate attempt to explain, I stammered, "Oh, no. I'm so sorry. I spilled coffee on that dress, and so I had to." As I was being dragged away, I hurriedly tried to justify the situation. Suddenly, Robert stopped in his tracks. He didn't face me but muttered quietly,
Oh, I see. Don't embarrass me.
I felt a cold shiver run down my spine. Then, turning around, Robert forced a smile and said,
Well, can't be helped. Be more careful next time.
I replied meekly, "Yes, I will." The rest of the evening at the party became a blur. I don't remember what was discussed or what we ate. Whether I responded appropriately to anything Robert said is beyond my recollection. The image of him yelling at me with that horrifying expression was etched in my mind, refusing to fade away. This incident marked a gradual change in Robert's behavior towards me.
Hey, where's breakfast? You're really useless, aren't you?
Robert's voice was harsh and cold as he called out to me that morning. Trembling, I replied, "Yes, I'm sorry. I'll get it ready right away." His impatient command,
Hurry up.
echoed through the kitchen. I nodded quickly, "Yes, right away." Robert's behavior had grown increasingly rough over time. Every morning until he left for work was a tense affair for me. However, once he was gone, I could breathe a sigh of relief and somehow managed to carry on with my day. One day, as I returned from shopping, the landline at home was ringing incessantly. Hurriedly, I answered the phone only to be met with Robert's angry voice blasting through the receiver.
Hey, where have you been? Do you have any idea how many times I've called you?
I stammered an apology. Sorry, I was just shopping. His words cut me off sharply.
Don't make excuses. Remember, you're living off me. I should be your top priority. Do you understand?
I replied meekly. Yes, I understand. I'm sorry. His voice, filled with disdain, continued.
Unemployed women like you lack common sense. Oh, and by the way, I'll be home early today. Have dinner ready. We need to talk.
Confused and anxious, I asked.
Talk about what?
But he had already hung up. Determined to make a good impression, I prepared an elaborate dinner, using all my culinary skills to create his favorite dishes. When Robert arrived home, he started eating immediately. Thankfully, he seemed pleased with the meal and didn't complain. Eating quietly, he finally spoke.
The food was decent. Now, I need you to sign these papers.
He handed me a document, and as I looked at it, my breath caught in my throat. To my utter astonishment, the document Robert handed me was a divorce paper, already filled out in his section. Is this a divorce paper? I asked, my voice trembling with a mixture of fear and disbelief. Robert replied nonchalantly.
Yeah, it's a divorce paper. But don't get me wrong, it's not like I want to divorce you right now.
Confused, I inquired. Then why do I have to sign it? He explained.
This is just a preparation. If I ever feel like divorcing, we can file it immediately.
His words, if I ever feel like it, struck me. It was all about his convenience, his control. As I processed his words, a bubbling anger started to rise within me. No, I whispered.
What? Did you say something?
Robert asked, surprised to hear any form of dissent from me. It was then that I fully realized the anger swelling inside me.
No, I refuse. Robert, you're being utterly selfish.
For the first time, I saw Robert taken aback by my defiance, but his surprise quickly turned into fury, and he began to yell.
Do you even understand your place? You're unemployed, living off me. Your existence depends on my decisions.
But something in me had changed.
I am a person too. Is this what you call a marriage? Forcing me into submission like this? If you want a divorce, fine. I'll write it and file it myself. Give me that petition.
I was surprised at my own firmness, the clarity with which I expressed my feelings. For the first time, I stood up for myself, unafraid of the consequences. Faced with my unexpected resistance, Robert began to speak in a more conciliatory tone.
Hey, calm down. Nobody is saying we're getting a divorce.
His words did little to ease my alarm.
Then why bring up such a thing? Is there a reason you need this?
I asked, my voice steady but filled with a deep sense of betrayal. Robert visibly flinched at my question, a clear sign that something was amiss.
All right, let's forget about this. It was just a thought, nothing more,
he said, trying to downplay the situation. But his casual dismissal of something as serious as a divorce paper only deepened my mistrust. There was a secret he was keeping from me. I realized then that I could no longer be submissive to his whims. The following day, Robert announced a sudden business trip.
It's a long-term trip. I'm not sure when I'll be back. Just stay home and wait. Oh, and by the way, I've confiscated your credit card. When you've learned your lesson, maybe I'll reconsider,
he said curtly before leaving. His reaction to my defiance was apparent. He seemed intent on making me financially dependent, forcing me into submission. After he left, I took a deep breath, feeling a sense of liberation. I was surprised at my own ability to stand up to him. Yet, the reality remained unchanged. I was still financially dependent on him. My options were limited. Either return to my parents' home or grovel for forgiveness. Feeling a bit peckish, I headed to the fridge and noticed a receipt pinned with a magnet.
The dry cleaners. I need to pick up my dress.
I remembered thinking of the kind elderly lady who worked there. At the dry cleaning store, I was amazed to see the coffee stain completely removed from my dress.
Incredible! It's like new again.
I exclaimed in admiration. The male clerk at the counter just nodded unenthusiastically. I felt a twinge of disappointment, noticing the absence of the elderly lady who had served me last time.
Excuse me, there was an older lady working here last time, but she's not here today.
I inquired. The man, who turned out to be the owner and son of the elderly woman, informed me that his mother had fallen ill a few days ago and couldn't come to the store. They were also looking for temporary help. Without thinking, I blurted out,
"Could you hire me?"
The owner, taken aback by my sudden proposal, hesitated but agreed, as he desperately needed help. I submitted my resume and was hired on the spot. It was a new beginning for me, a step towards independence. Working at the dry cleaning shop, I learned quickly and managed to handle necessary tasks within 2 weeks. I was determined to discuss divorce seriously the next time Robert returned. My job was a stepping stone towards my independence, and my earnest efforts were reflected in my work, earning praise from the store owner. One day, a woman brought in a suit and a dress shirt for cleaning.
Please handle these carefully. They're designer brands.
She instructed. I recognized the suit immediately. It belonged to Robert. Why was it here when he was supposed to be on a business trip? The woman paid with a credit card, and to my shock, it bore my name. It was the card Robert had confiscated before his trip. I glanced discreetly at the woman. She appeared older than me, with flashy makeup, manicured nails, and dressed in expensive brands. She wore a wedding ring.
"We can deliver these by next week. May I have your address and phone number?"
I asked, maintaining my composure. As she filled out the form, I realized the truth. Robert was here with another woman. He had been deceiving and belittling me all this time. There was no business trip. I couldn't let this betrayal go unpunished. This was the beginning of a plan for revenge that would unfold in ways I never anticipated. The following week, I delivered Robert's freshly cleaned suit and shirt to the address provided. The house was a 2-story, single-family home with a garden. When I rang the doorbell, the same woman I had seen before answered.
"I'm from the dry cleaning service. I've come to deliver,"
I announced.
Okay, I'll open the door.
She replied. In a moment of quick thinking, I let out a loud scream.
"No, no."
Startled by my shout, I heard hurried footsteps from inside the house.
What's going on?
The woman asked, opening the door. I slipped past her without waiting for permission, exclaiming,
"Help! There's a wild boar in your garden."
A wild boar?
She echoed in disbelief.
"Yes, it suddenly charged at me. Please call the police."
I urged, feigning panic. The woman, visibly shaken, yelled upstairs.
Wait, I'll call the police. Robert, come here.
My ruse of calling the police caused the woman to shout for Robert, who was supposedly upstairs. The staircase facing the entrance allowed me to see a familiar figure descending. "What's all this commotion about?" he inquired. "A wild boar. It's come into the house," she exclaimed. "A wild boar? That can't be." As Robert peered down, our eyes met.
Oh no, no, no!
He lost his balance in shock, missed a step, and tumbled down the stairs. The sound of Robert's body hitting the stairs and the woman's screams intertwined. Even I was taken aback at the sight of Robert groaning in pain at my feet. He couldn't speak, but his wide eyes glared at me accusingly. The woman, panic-stricken, clung to him, her voice shrill with concern. "You should call an ambulance quickly," I suggested calmly.
Yes, I should.
She agreed, still in shock. "I'll take the finished clothes upstairs for you," I offered, seizing the moment.
Stop, new!
Robert protested weakly, but his plea was drowned out by the woman's frantic call for help.
Please hurry, there's someone injured here. Yes, and there's a wild boar too. Please help us.
She cried into the phone. Her panicked report soon brought the wail of sirens and the arrival of an ambulance. A police car also pulled up, and officers dashed toward the supposed wild boar incident. As the paramedics loaded Robert onto the stretcher, their glances shifted between me and the other woman. One of them spoke up.
Ma'am, you should come along too.
The woman turned her face away, refusing. I stated clearly,
She's not his wife, so that's not possible.
The paramedic, confused, looked at me.
Then you are.
I too will soon no longer be his wife, so I can't accompany him.
I replied firmly. As I spoke, Robert turned his face towards me, a look of confusion spreading across his features.
Call.
He managed to utter. I retrieved the divorce papers from Robert's luggage upstairs and waved them at him, adding to his bewilderment. With a groan, Robert fainted, leaving him to be transported alone in the ambulance. During his hospital stay, Robert frequently called me, selfishly demanding my care as usual. He had fractured both ankles, immobilized in casts.
I'm busy with work. I don't have time to take care of a cheating husband.
I firmly replied to his calls.
Stop joking. You think you can live off that part-time job?
He retorted dismissively.
Do you even realize your situation? Your mistress's husband. Isn't he your boss?
I countered, revealing a truth he hadn't expected.
What?
Robert stammered, caught off guard. Yes, Robert had been having an affair with his boss's wife while the boss was on a work assignment elsewhere. He thought he had cleverly concealed it, using me, his compliant wife, as a cover.
I, a mere part-time worker, am advising you, soon to be unemployed, to figure out how to fend for yourself.
I said, a hint of sarcasm in my voice. Robert groaned in despair, realizing the gravity of his situation. After returning to my parents' home, I proceeded with the divorce and demanded alimony from Robert. I also made sure the mistress paid her share of compensation. She had been under the impression that Robert was already divorced. It turned out Robert flaunted the divorce papers to woo his mistress, a deceitful tactic regardless of the affair's nature. Both of them, entangled in their selfish justifications, seemed pathetic to me. Robert couldn't stay at the company after the scandal. He narrowly escaped being fired but was relegated to a remote branch office. The mistress, now divorced, returned to her parents' home, living a constrained life filled with regret and shame. I continue to work at the cleaners. The owner's mother's condition has improved and she has returned to work. Under her guidance, I've learned to master the art of ironing. Initially, I thought this was just a small local shop, but it turns out to be renowned for the owner's exceptional stain removal skills. I have been living in self-loathing all my life, but to have found a good person and a good job in this way is a great thing. Here, I am determined to work hard and aim to become an independent person, standing on my own 2 feet.